See, the thing about politics, you gotta watch politics because. Hold on, I need them to shut up for a second. I was just listening to, like, see what's going on. Iowa caucus, I think, is what they call it. They showed the room of the Republicans that are all, like, anticipating meeting these Republican candidates. Guess what was missing from the room? It was literally a whole bunch of elder white people, like American white people. I decided to go live. I don't know why. I did this spontaneously. I usually don't do this shit anymore because a lot of people, I don't know, y'all just watch people too much and say too much bullshit. But I find it interesting because I think that it's very key to observe what's going on, right? And talk about it, because a lot of people are scared to talk about it. A lot of people don't, like, distance themselves from talking about it because it's easier and less polarizing or whatever. But I think it's also very clear the way that politics works, right? Is that a lot of these people who run for office, they're so much more concerned about bigots being fans of them, and they're willing to genuinely sacrifice people's lives and well-being and safety and threaten people with policies and new laws and executive orders, a la Ron DeSantis. I feel like because I'm from Florida, I gotta say some shit, you know what I mean? Like, my mom was born in Cuba. My her parents were born in Cuba. My dad was born in Miami, but his parents were both born in Cuba. And all familial ties go back there, right? Or probably to Europe somewhere. Probably a whole lot of mix of other shit, right? I don't know. I haven't done my ancestry test yet. But the point, right, is that there's some very real rhetoric being used again. And I don't believe that this shit stopped. I feel like we're all just living in, like, this, picking between the lesser of two evils of parties, right? I don't really have an opinion about where anyone falls at this point on a political scale, because I think it's all fucked, personally. But it's really interesting to me to watch how organized these Republicans seem to be. Because they're not just Republicans anymore, in my opinion. I mean, granted, the two-party system, the Democrats used to be Republicans used to be Democrats. They all flip-flop their ideals and visions depending on what the public is paying attention to, what the public cares about, what the public wants to vote for, right? Because these people are attention mongers, fear mongers. They like to be on display and say that they're leaders when they lead with nothing but fear. I don't have any respect for half of these people running for presidency, personally. Granted, this is my personal opinion, choice, whatever, But I feel like a lot of people right now in America, maybe, I don't know, feel that way. I feel like politics is not representing the people and hasn't for a long time. I feel like people really want to vote for someone outside of these systems, and that's why they think they support somebody that they support, because they're outside of these systems, but they're inside of these systems. Billionaires are billionaires, and I don't mean to shit on people who make their money, like, do what you gotta do, but at the end of the day, what choices are you making with that amount of power and influence, and what are you doing with that? And how are you choosing to navigate human beings' lives who depend on your guidance, supposedly, right? Because that's what the government is supposed to be for anyway. That's why we are, disorganized chaos without somebody, like, controlling our every single move. And then, some people say they want less government, but then those are the same people proposing policies that would completely infringe upon rights of all of these citizens, or are in favor of, like, the state murdering and justifying murder of civilians and imprisonment of civilians. Like, there's so many different, like, flip-floppy, hypocritical talking points, I feel like, on both ends. That's not to say one is worse or better than the other. It's really just to be talking about who it is that we're even considering or have choices between, right? Like a realistic conversation about that. And I don't see any integrity. I don't see anybody who genuinely cares about people. I see people who love attention and speaking in front of large crowds who cheer them on and think they're really cool. And when I think of a leader, I don't think of people who fearmonger for power. That doesn't resonate with me at all. And that's all I see. And I just I was flipping through channels on this TV because whenever I wanted to watch a movie or something, maybe, and CNN came on, Anderson Cooper was there, and I was like, okay. I was like, what's going on right now, right? Let me just tune in for 0.2 seconds, see what's going on. And that's all I saw. I was like, Iowa is preparing for the Iowa caucus and leading runners of the Republican Party. It's like it flashes to a room full of elderly white men and some scattered women here and there as well. And they're just all having a dinner, and they're talking about how they're gonna, judge and rate and, see what's up with these new candidates and how they're feeling. And the three candidates were Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump, and Nikki Haley. I don't know, she's from South Carolina, I think. All people who say such inflammatory things against humans on a regular basis and have such salacious ideas of what leadership is and truly are infringing. In Florida, they're banning books, bro. Do y'all know what happens when books get banned and burned? Do y'all understand, if you don't know, I highly recommend you looking up what fascism is, and how that works, and how it starts. Because it never starts with, people just losing their freedom all of a sudden. It's slow but sure progress being run by a very well-organized and well-oiled machine. And I was talking about this the other day, but I don't believe that things are random, right? I don't believe that all of these mass shootings coupled with all of this current rhetoric about how, that conversation the other day with, what's his name, Jon Stewart? I don't know. I might be wrong about the name, but he was confronting a Republican senator about guns and how ridiculous it is that if we're going to have guns, which they're already, you're right, a whole bunch of motherfuckers have guns, right? So if it's already there, why wouldn't common sense gun laws be good? Why wouldn't we want to do that? Why wouldn't we want to keep people safe? Why wouldn't we want to actually keep children safe? If your biggest talking point is you want to keep kids safe, why don't you actually want to keep kids safe then? Why do your pockets weigh more than a child's life then? I'm just curious, because doing a whole lot of this, and you need to be doing this. You know what I mean? I think Ron DeSantis is a very scary man, personally. I think that he is extremely racist, as is obviously Trump, as are all of these Republicans at this point, because they all very much align with the truth of what's going on. You know what I mean? And you know what I will say, what I did like about the Voldemort character, which is Trump, I did like the fact that he made us very aware of who's who and what's what. You know what I mean? I also really genuinely appreciate the fact that we could see something for what it is instead of looking at a mask. Who is what it is behind the mask? You feel me? Which is what we're going through now. Because to me, if you're mid on this shit, if you're like, come sick, I can't really do anything about it. Oh my God, it's so crazy. I can't do anything about it. You're just as much a part of the problem to me. you're just as much part of the problem. Because this is a problem. This is a problem that stems back in history. It's not a new problem. I feel like America has been this fluctuating liberal freedom and, all of that. And that is a great ideal. But built on what? Built on what? Built on stolen land? With no reparations for natives? Built on stolen land by slaves? With no reparations for their descendants? And then on top of that, we finally, on an image perspective, like, it's just very interesting to me, the way that we all skirt past these, like, very clear things that are happening. And we have such, I want to get the right adjective for it. Like, to me, like, just very, like, frilly conversations around these things. You get me? Like we're not really talking about them. Like, we're not really like, oh, maybe Democrats and Republicans, like, are crazy. Like, maybe these systems that are at play right now are actually, like, really dangerous and actually are really harming a lot of people. And actually, maybe they're rolling back our rights quicker than we can even, like, catch up with. And, I don't know. I don't really know what my point is. Just thoughts. Because, I don't know, I'm tired of the bullshit. I'm very, very tired of, like, if we're the richest, let's act like it. Let's make sure all of our citizens are housed. Let's make sure that everybody has access to healthcare if they need it. Let's make sure that, our waters aren't poisoned. Let's make sure that we have, like, some good stuff in play to make sure our environment's taken care of. I don't know. Some thoughts. Let's maybe come up with some common sense gun laws that we can all implement and be okay with, so that people can own their little guns, but make sure that we don't kill anybody arbitrarily, and that children don't kill themselves arbitrarily because people don't know how to fucking use what they want. I don't know. I really care about people. And I feel like there's a lot of us who really care about people. And I feel like every single day when I'm scrolling through these social media sites, I see so much violence and hatred and tit for tat conversations that are so unnecessary, really, a lot of the time. I see a lot of people projecting their own selves onto everyone around them, like everybody else is supposed to feel the way you do, or see things the way you do, or act the way you do. I see a lot of confusion between this, like, intense isolation and individualism and this other side that all want to connect and be of the same nature at the same time, which we're not, of course, because we're all so different. I just don't feel like we need to be like this with each other. I feel like we can take care of each other and we can come up with new ideas, because it's all just, like, ideas, at the end of the day. They're like, oh, this is the idea that I think is the right idea, and everybody just gotta, like, agree on that, or the majority of us gotta agree on that, at least. And I, for one, don't want to even have to have a conversation about whether or not someone like Ron DeSantis or Trump can run for presidency. Like, legitimately run for presidency. They shouldn't even be part of that conversation, in my opinion. And I know a lot of people don't agree with that opinion. And that's what scares me more. That we're that far gone. That we're that far gone. In a lot of ways, you know? That they're more organized than we could be. Or than we are right now. Because I don't think it's really that radical to want to make sure that everybody's okay. Or people are safe and fed and given healthy living conditions and environments. You know? I think that that should be standard, in my opinion. About, if we're talking about the most developed nation, which is obviously a lie, but like, you know, if we want that to be our statement, our slogan, our propaganda that we're gonna put out there, like, we gotta, like, at least have free healthcare, baby. Like, how are we wealthy as a nation, right? Because of course we have the richest people here, like lots of really wealthy people who worked so hard, aka inherited a lot of money or built incredible empires for themselves. Like, and it's kind of clear who's who, you know? So, I don't know. Just some food for thought. Since you're scrolling anyways. Yeah.